However, you need to know we will be making such presentations to the Congress, if not to Mr. Eric Holder himself, and to all parties in New York State and nationally that supervise the education system of the Columbia University. Finally, I'd like to state that we have released the verdict. At present, the transcript of the trial, we do plan to release that to other grand juries around America. We believe that cases pending presently, such as what Alan Keyes may have, or Commander Kretschner may have, a Commander or a Captain Pamela Barnett, we believe that if they will enjoin this case and its verdict to their case, it will give great strength once a verdict has been determined in the cases that are now pending before the courts. We also wish to state that it is our intent to release the transcripts of this trial to all grand juries who have, over the last year or year and a half, also indicted Mr. Obama, but never took the matter to trial. We want them to be made aware of and have privilege to this information, that they may be able to assign or align our findings with their presentments. However, we wish to state that we would advise and would appeal to all Americans of all stripes, now that this verdict has come down, to respect the Constitution and our Justice Department. We wish to state that by releasing the information, that we would ask all parties to wait patiently, whether it takes a year, 2 years, 5 or 7 years, before we can finally get a court rendering on the matter of the people's rights before the Constitution, that no presumptive activities would take place. We would condemn strongly, in the strongest sense of the term, anyone who attempted to effect an arrest of Mr. Obama, Mr. Sovereign, or any others without the appropriate sanction of the U.S. Justice Department and or Congress. That none should take this verdict as an ad hoc opportunity to act independently of our justice system. If so, we find no fellowship with you and we condemn you, because that is what we are experiencing now as a people. The Obama administration treats us like we're dirt. The media calls us kooks, loons, wingnuts, racists, bigots, all because we asked a question that is a reasonable question regarding eligibility. And not that this question is raised somehow or another in a corner, but the question is raised in light of the fact that the person being questioned is the most secretive man that has ever walked this planet. Everything from his kindergarten records to his law practice, his marriage certificate, his grade school records, all of which have been sealed. With that kind of a sealing of records, one would want to know, why are you concealing so much what is normal in the life of every of everyone else. There is at present an obvious attempt by the media to seal records and to stop the First Amendment freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Many people, even those who have voted for Mr. Obama, have openly stated that the press is on his side, that they run interference for him, and that they do not report negative information about him. Even his supporters say that. But my friends, what that does is that blindsides the American people to the truth. And we're not able to make a just decision if we don't have access to the facts. There is now a term that's being used by Fox News that many young children in our schools who are not as affable, if you will, or not as popular as some of the students, maybe they are not jocks, they certainly aren't, and because they are to some degree loners, other students will find fault and will pick on them, calling them names. More recently, a young girl in Massachusetts hung herself, 15 years old, because the bullies in her school called her names day in and day out, relentlessly, posted her up on YouTube as a kook and as a freak, and she couldn't take it anymore. And finally, she hung herself because the bullies in her school relentlessly every day. And those of you who have been in school know what bullies do. Maybe someone bullied you because they had more power than you. They had more influence than you. And so they called you names and you were defenseless. They gathered opinions about you that were not true. They said things about you that made you a small person and small in the eyes of your peers. Well, that's what the media has done to persons like me, and I've had enough of it. They have bullied me. They've called me names. They've called me a kook. They've called me a wingnut. They've called me a racist. They've called me a person who's got a personal whatever it is with Obama. I've had enough of it. I'm simply a citizen of America. And I will no longer allow these bullies, these schoolyard bullies called Fox News, ABC, MSNBC, and others to push me around. I've had enough. I've had enough. They did the same thing with the Tea Party, calling them racists. Tea parties, they said, were Klan rallies. Because the news media, because they're more powerful, they have the attention of the people. They can give you a name and a label unjustly, and now people see you as some sort of an evil person, and all you've ever asked is for the truth. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. And by the grace and strength of Almighty God, this court that was convened will put an end to that. Not only will we see Mr. Obama arrested through the appropriate, and I mind you, through the appropriate channels, after Congress reviews and the courts ratify, we will see as well that America has been under, and a large number of Americans have been marginalized, called racist, and called un-American, simply because we saw there were things about this man that required grave questions. And rather than the media giving an appropriate response, they called us names like schoolyard bullies. Well, please take away from this press conference, we have a verdict that is legal. Were it not so, we would have been arrested. You don't put the alleged sitting president of the United States on trial right in front of the police department if you don't have a right to do it. We have a verdict. He's guilty. And so it shall be. Having said that, I'll now take questions. We have another question here, right?
Yes, sir. When did you decide that something was wrong with candidate and then President Obama? When did you decide to start this whole crusade?